United States.
If men like Governor Patterson and Governor Barnett of Mississippi and also Governor Davis of Louisiana would carry out the good oath of their office, then citizens would be able to travel in this country, and then people in Tel Aviv and Moscow and in London would not pick up their newspaper for breakfast and realize that America is not living up to the dream with liberty and justice for all.
We can't act as nursemaids to agitators. I think when they learn that when they go somewhere to create a riot, that there's not going to be somebody there to stand between them and the other crowd, they'll stay home. And you just can't guarantee the safety of a fool, and that's what these folks are, just fools.
After we got out of the hospital, we met the next day. I saw Jim Peck for the first time. I felt like crying, but didn't. And he proposed that we should continue with our freedom ride. After that, there was no longer any debate. If he could be beaten as he was and still say we should go on, we certainly felt we could go on.
Why are you planning to keep up this ride?
We're planning to keep it up because we feel that we must not surrender to violence.
We gathered at the bus station there in Birmingham. There were mob people around there too. We had to make our way through them to get into the bus station.
The police are there because a crowd is starting to gather. It was getting tense. It was getting tense. I mean, anything was possible. Right then, right there, anything was possible.
The bus driver said, there are 1,000 waiting on you outside of town. You all are freedom riders. I am not. I have a family. So I'm not driving this bus.
We were close to getting to Mississippi and for the rally in New Orleans. And as beaten, as weary as we were, we wanted to continue. But I think we were pretty much traumatized.
I had very mixed feelings. I'd learned to be afraid overnight. I was no longer this fearless rider. I was no longer so interested in dying for the cause. I appreciated being alive.
They had a vote, they were discussing things, some wanted to continue. The problem was they couldn't continue on the buses because we didn't have any drivers. They finally made the decision that they had to come to, that they had gone about as far as they could. It was over. Got out to the airport, you wouldn't believe it, but those mob people were still there.
It was basically the same crowd we had seen the day before. And when it reached a critical point, we were going to get beaten to smithereens.
Along the edges of the building that we had to walk past to try to get to the plane, they were still out there, and they were still fired up, and they were still trying to whack us, and they were still calling us names. Eventually we got to the plane and settled in, and everybody got a little relaxed. Then we get this call saying there was a bomb scare. We had to walk back through these people again. You had this nightmarish feeling that they would never go away.
Attorney General and the President talked together, and I talked then with them. And our strategy was simply go to Alabama, go to Birmingham, get those Freedom Riders to New Orleans. It's a long flight, but by the time I get there, they're still trapped in that airport. They were in limbo, and they were in a frightened state of limbo. I think the people who were not glad to see somebody from the federal government was the airlines. I got with the manager and they got on the telephone, and if you represent the President of the United States and you're talking to the officials of a regulated airline, we were out of there on the first flight. I'd never flown before, but it felt good when that plane got off that runway. I'd rather take a chance on getting killed in a plane crash than to get beat to death by hoodlums with iron pipes. When we arrived in New Orleans, state police formed a corridor from the steps at the bottom of the plane to the terminal. And I will say they were cursed and condemned with racial slurs from the bottom of that ladder till we walked into that terminal. You wouldn't believe it, from state police officers just spewing filth and venom and hatred.
The courageous Freedom Riders won't ever be the same. They left Washington, D.C. in good spirits with high hopes in their country and fellow men. But the beatings, the tensions, the shocks, the depth of the hating, the open lawlessness took its toll. It will be a miracle if all their physical and psychological wounds ever heal. The Deep South was that tough.
I went to a motel to spend the night, and I thought, what a great hero I am. How easy this was, I just took care of everything the President and the Attorney General wanted done. Mission accomplished. My phone in the hotel room rings, and it's the Attorney General. He has received word from the FBI in Nashville that another wave of Freedom Riders is coming down to Birmingham from Nashville to continue the Freedom Rides. And he opens the conversation. Who the hell is Diane Nash?
It was clear to me that if we allowed the Freedom Ride to stop at that point,